All right, good afternoon. This is Kelly and my wonderful, awesome, fun partner, Curtis. We are here today to take you through how to set goals, what some of the goals should be. So we'll help you set at least what we feel are important numbers to monitor. We're big believers that only measure things in which you can put an action plan in to improve. Otherwise, you're just tracking a number, and if you don't know how to do something about it, or even if it's legit, doesn't mean it necessarily has to be a goal. So I've invited Curtis, who, for those of you who don't know, Curtis Marshall is a bigwig with Dental Intel. He's my right hand, or I'm his left, however you want to put it. Curtis and his team help me and you with everything that I can't answer, and then some. We bounce ideas and philosophies off one another all the time. So I've asked Curtis to jump on here with me today to make sure we're helping you get the most out of Dental Intel in the goal setting process. So Curtis, I am going to turn it to you. I'm going to jump in where I always do and share with my teams what we like to do or what we look at, but we want to utilize you today on the how to. You're the real how-to guy, and as well as the why, but I want to interject here and there for what we're looking at in terms of goal setting and so forth. So Curtis, take it away.
Thanks, Kelly, and always a pleasure. Love working with you and Anna and your group. You guys are fantastic. What I love about, and I've mentioned this in the past, but what I love about working with you guys is you truly care about taking care of the office as people, not as dollars. You want to make sure that they have the best lifestyle. You want to make sure that they're taken care of, so much so I've heard you be frustrated and crying and happy for your clients.
Yeah.
Meaning you're frustrated that something's not like a third party's not working for them. So you're frustrated for them. You're worried about them because they're worried. And so forth. And so that's such a great thing to be noticing between humans. And you're so welcome. But for ourselves, even goal setting for ourselves, right? It doesn't matter how much where you are at or what you've done in the past, as much as knowing what's going on with yourself right now and saying, I want to improve a little bit. I want to do a little bit more. In my own family, we decided lately that what we're going to do is we're going to start praying together as a family, right? We weren't doing that before. There's a whole bunch of things that we could be doing, but we decided to do that. And we started by doing it just one time at night. And it's been, Kelly, I can't tell you for our family how great that's been. That we've been able to say, hey, look, we know where we're at, and we're going to incrementally improve more and more as time goes on.
So every morning I send a Bible verse to my children via text, and I've let them know, read it, don't read it, respond, don't respond. It's my way of letting you know that every day I'm praying for you. And with Kylie, like you, a couple things that are going on with Kylie, we've been online, FaceTime, and she tells me what's going on and what she's worried about. We literally pray together online, and it's a goal.
But yeah, what you're doing though every day is you're sending something and you're improving, whether it's actually act upon or not, you are really doing something.
Right.
And so great, thanks for sharing that, Kelly. And we all need as many prayers as possible, especially right now.
Yeah.
But so what we're going to look at is inside an office, inside a dental practice, oftentimes we get, and even from you, Kelly, we get, what are the benchmarks? Where's the top 10% of all offices? I'm going to give you a little insider secret. Who cares? Who cares what you're doing? In fact, right now, I'm in an office, in a small town office in Utah, dental office, using their Wi-Fi. Luckily, there's nobody here today, but I'm in here, and the fact whatever they're doing is going to be different than down the road or even down in my hometown in Utah, right? That there is not, what you should be really comparing yourself to is yourself. Oftentimes, and I'm going to bring it back personally, oftentimes my wife and myself look on Instagram or look on Facebook and say, oh my goodness, these guys are doing so awesome. Why aren't I there? Who cares? They are where they're at. You need to understand where you're at and increase. So when you want to know where all other dental offices are, first know, where are you? What's happening with you? And then we can go from there. So Kelly, I hope that sets us off for this goal setting on a good start of really not worrying about what everyone else is doing, but worrying about where you're at and how you can improve. Is there anything you want to add to that before we start jumping into the software?
No, I mean, I'm a big believer that, things that get measured improve, things that get measured and reported back improve greatly. And there's so many things when it comes to goal setting that teams just don't understand, or they set a goal, but there's no accountability to that. And that's what we really want to help teams get a feel for today, right? What are the goals, how to set them within Dental Intel, and then how to hold teams accountable after that.
Bingo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start showing the dashboard, and the dashboard with Dental Intel, this is going to show all the numbers within a practice. And then we're going to be looking at the goals and what areas of goals you should be looking at, but more importantly, how to get them all set up. Well, that's how live we are. I'm not going to pick that up, but that might ring for 2 seconds here. Okay. So right here, what we have is we're looking at a dental, some data here, and we can see that there are certain goals, right? So for example, restorative elective case, hygiene case, every metric, most of our metrics here have some type of goal, right? And typically with a goal, what you would do is simply do this. You would look at to see, where have I been over the last X amount of days or months. So in this office, we can see that they're high. Well, we're actually not going to count these months during COVID because there's an extreme.
And this is a fictitious office, so it's not so much that the numbers are accurate. Right?
Good point. But in this office, we got 700-ish is their high. And where they're at, and their average, we kind of look at the dotted line, average is right around 780, 680-ish, okay? So that's where they've been at. They were just at 605. Well, if their average is 680, 650, whatever that might be, what's the goal? They might want to keep the same status quo and just say, my goal is very simple, it's 650. Or my goal, because I want to increase, is 700 or even 750. For diagnostic, right now I'm at 32%. Well, doctor, he or she gets to make the decision. Maybe they want to be at 40%.
So Curtis, let's take a second on that. I've never been a believer in setting a goal on how much you diagnose, because I always feel like we're teaching teams to target something specific. What I'm a big believer of is, to the box to the right, the acceptance of what you find. We want a 50% case acceptance. I don't ever want to tell a team you need to find 40% of your patients need treatment, because I found in dentistry is kind of silly. Our ultimate goal, we kind of begin with the end in mind. We want all our patients to be completely healthy and not need dentistry, right? That's what we're trying to achieve. We can't afford to ever hit that goal, right? Because then we just got a maintenance practice. So what I believe is, of what we find, of what we diagnose, what's accepted. So I like to see 50% acceptance, and I like to see 50% of the dollars presented and 80% of the patients accepting at least phase 1. What's your thought on why is there a diagnostic percentage goal?
Good question. You mentioned something earlier. When performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported back, the rate of improvement accelerates.
Right.
Right? Okay. So with diagnostic percentage, okay? If I'm not ever looking at it, we are not going to take best care of our patients, period. And if we don't know what the goal, maybe your goal is just the status quo, meaning this is what my average is. This is what typically happens.
I think it's a point of where we are on the map.
Yes.
But like let's say this month we're working, maybe we're filling our October schedule with patients who come in regularly, who really want to be there and who have already done their work and don't need work. So then our schedule's mixed with really good, healthy patients. But back in November, December coming up, we've got patients who've needed work in the past. So when we're working the ReCare pie chart, we're calling patients who need more treatment. We might have a higher diagnostic percentage. It doesn't change that our teams are looking thoroughly and trying to find thoroughly and diagnose thoroughly. But again, to say we should be finding as a goal, in my opinion, would be wrong. But I agree with you that this is where we are. Does that make sense? So we're diagnosing 40% of the time, but to set a goal of raising it, let's find more to 50%, that kind of okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're saying the same thing.
100% we are, and I'm glad we're just having this discussion because, yeah, if you're now saying, hey, I want to go find more treatment, well, you're probably going to overdiagnose and not diagnose. That's you as clinician. Maybe you do want to do that. That's not for me to say, right? I don't think you should, but that's not for me to say because I don't have a doctorate degree, but you should know where this is at and have a high or have a goal set. I would relate this, Kelly, a lot to like, hey, I'm going to wake up every day at 6 a.m. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. On a good day, I'm going to wake up at 6. On Saturday, I might wake up at 7. It's not going to hurt my body to wake up at 7.
Right.
If I'm going to go golfing tomorrow, maybe I'm going to wake up at 5. It's not going to, but I want to know what my average is. I typically want to be on a good day. Should be around this number. And just by putting that in there, you can quickly remember rather than.
Where we use that a lot is when we do a snapshot or an eval for a doctor who's looking at buying a practice, we look and see how aggressive the practice is in terms of diagnosis.
That's a huge number to be looking at in that scenario, right?
And if you're buying a practice and you're not or don't know this number, it can have a major effect. And on that same token, when you start looking at procedure mix, if the doctor's doing procedures you're not skilled to do as a new practice owner, you could really devalue the practice, right? Like if I don't do endo and I'm buying your practice and you're doing, 1 out of every 10 patients needs endo, I'm going to lose $1,000 a day when I take over.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump in. Can we jump into Curtis in under the dashboard and the thermometer, the top left? Go right to the goals. Let's jump in and start talking about.
Absolutely. So before we go there, Kelly, you mentioned the buying a practice.
Yeah.
If anybody is looking at buying a practice, Kelly can help you get these numbers at no charge. In fact, Kelly, is that something that you would be willing to do for them?
Yeah, we actually have a small charge, but then we apply it towards training if they bring us on.
Perfect. Yeah, because you got to use Kelly's time, but he will pay. What I was getting at is you'll pay for get the numbers there.
Yep, we take care of them.
Right. So absolutely. So what we're going to do here. So what I did with these two numbers is these are stagnant goals. They're always the same. Hey, this is what I've done for the practice. And this is where the practice should be at for average numbers. This is an average goal, right? That we're looking at right here. This right here, if we don't hit this on one day, that's okay. I'm really looking at this for a month or a week. All these goals that we're going to look at right here are for the practice that will stay stagnant for the most part. So we're going to click on the practice goals. And warning.
I just leave them the same.
Let's just go like this. Auto calculate goals, performance goals, save goals. Well, it's not on here. But let's go to another one real quick. Look at the goal page here. Maybe that for this practice, that fake data.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's a demo, so yeah.
There we go. So this will just change, rather than you clicking on each metric, this will just bring it up really quickly so that if I go, for example, my monthly new patients, I want this to be at 50, right? I save this goal here. Yes. Now when I go, thank you. Now when I go over here to my month, it's now set at 50. So rather than coming to here to each one and changing this, we can just go to the practice goal page and change these right here.
So one thing I would like to jump in for everyone who doesn't know, by clicking the little I next to, for example, annual growth rate, the very first one, you click the I and it tells you what's in that category. And so you have an idea of what you're looking at.
Other than that one.
So let's go through a couple of these real quick.
Yes.
You know, and just give some benchmarks, if you will. And this is a discussion between me and you. We've never done this, so let's go there. I think an annual growth rate of 10%, especially in this market, right, with everything that's going on, pretty good number.
Oh, most offices are flat or negative. So yeah, right. Absolutely. Where are you at? Where's your patient growth rate? If you have 1,000 patients today, this year, do you want to have 1,100 active patients or 1,000? Right. Where are you at first? Where are you at? And where do you want to be at in the new year?
What is your capacity? Because there are some places that are at capacity. They have 4 operatories. They've got 2,500 active patients. You know, it doesn't make sense to have a huge growth rate if you can't take care of them. Now, one of the numbers me and you bounce back and forth on is pre-appointment percentage. Yeah. Right? So the number there that's currently on this office is 75% of your pre-appointment. The old school goal used to be you want everybody to leave with their next appointment. I feel a little bit different. I only want patients to leave with appointments that they're committing to keeping. So in other words, one of the phrases we like to use in hygiene, particularly in terms of pre-appointing there, is I don't want to say to Curtis, well, Curtis, let's go ahead and get you scheduled for your 6-month cleaning out in May. You're going to do after May 15th as an example. Curtis says, well, I really don't know what my schedule is. Well, let's make you an appointment. If you need to cancel, give me a call. Scrap that dialogue. Instead, what I want to say is, Curtis, I understand what day of the week is best to reach you. Mondays, what time, 1 o'clock. And I'm going to go into Dental Intel and I'm going to create a follow-up for you to make sure I call you on that Tuesday to get you scheduled for your appointment. And in addition to that, I'm going to say, Curtis, one of the things that we've done to help you out is I'm going to send you a link using LocalMed. So when you're ready, you just click that link and schedule at a time that works for you. But do me one more favor, will you, Curtis? When I call you and leave a message, will you call me back and make an appointment so I don't have to track you down?
Great verbiage.
So when I'm doing this, I would rather have a lower pre-appointment rate and good follow-up than have a high appointment rate and a high cancellation no-show. Because it's not hard to get everybody to pre-appoint. Well, just call me if you need to cancel. Then your front desk freaks out, and the people on the other end, your patients, are saying, well, you told me I could cancel if I couldn't make it when I made it 6 months ago. So it's kind of hard to change that cancellation no-show if you don't do that.
And this is why Kelly and I work together so well, is that Kelly has philosophies and things that he does as a consultant, as a coach. And what I'm doing is I'm giving the numbers. Personally, Kelly, I don't care. Yeah. I don't care which way they do it. I just want them to know where they're at and say, let's improve. Your example here with pre-appointment is, hey, what I want you guys to do is I want you to be aware of broken appointments, and we don't want to have that struggle. So where you're at right now and where your goal is going to be X. And this is the verbiage and how you do it, which you just explained.
Right.
It's awesome.
So let's keep moving on the new patient goal. Even though we set a goal, for example, of 50, right? For a single doctor, what I really want to see is a positive 16 to 20. And what I mean by that is if we get 20 new patients in the door, we want to make sure we don't have 20 patients going inactive or status change. So if we have a single doctor gaining one new patient a day, that's 16 per month, in 6 months, we would have to add 2 days of hygiene just to handle our new patients if we're at capacity. So although we can set a new patient monthly goal, and I like to do that, the bigger picture, we want to make sure our practice is on a quick uptick. So Curtis, can you click dashboard, go to the new patient? You know where I'm going with this. So with Dental Intel, when we're looking at our new patients' positive negatives year over year, we want to see a positive 16, where you can see on this chart, there's a lot of months where they were in the negatives. We want to make sure that we're in the positives there right across the board.
Yep. So what we're going to do right here is
Year over year.
You go here. There we go.
So you can see where there's several months, even though they had a lot of new patients, 40, 50 new patients, they lost more than that. So they're actually in a negative number. But we want to just show you today, here's how to set the goal, but why. So when we look at our growth, which in this practice was a 1 in September, we want that to be a 16. So if I've got to get 70 new patients and lose 20, right, then we're a positive 50. But if we're looking to be, let's say, a positive 20 and we're losing 50, we got to get 70 new patients to get that positive number. All right, let's go back to the practice goals. Does that make any sense, Curtis? You agree?
Yes. And on these practice goals, I might have to change it again.
And one of the things Curtis and I are talking about while he's making that shift, we're showing you the how, and Anna and I are about showing you the why as well. And you hear benchmarks. How much should we have? Well, it doesn't matter what Curtis is doing in Utah and what I'm doing in Charlotte. What we want you to do is be better than you and keep improving. All right, reappointment percentage we just covered. Weekly visits, this is a volume thing. But as a general rule, we like to see 8 adult prophies in an 8-hour day per hygienist. And then the doctor seeing somewhere in your comfort zone, depending on whether you're doing a lot of aesthetics or a lot of run and gun fillings and so forth. But this weekly restorative visits, we can pull out, see what you've been doing. And if you're having a lot of downtime, we want to up that number. If you're feeling busy and out of control and you want to increase your production per visit while slowing down the number of patients, that's what these numbers help us understand. Okay? When we go into the restorative diagnostic percentage, Curtis, that's what we're diagnosing, right? That we just talked about?
Correct. Remember we were talking about that and we changed it to that 32% or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's whatever you feel comfortable with. For some reason, there's that 55. Maybe they're, and 2, maybe in their office, because we're talking about restorative diagnostic, you are saying, hey, I want to ensure that all of my patients get diagnosed, that they get diagnosed with cosmetics if they want them, right? I'm going to ask everybody for cosmetics, and it's going to be higher than someone else who is not. Or like you said with implants, maybe you don't do implants, so you're not going to diagnose it, so you're going to be less than somebody who accepts implants. So once again, it's you. Where are you at? And then find out where you're at for the office and then increase.
So Curtis, somebody who's starting off on Dental Intel, starting off working with me, and I log into this for the first time, these numbers are preset based on their history, correct? With a small increase?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's a 10% increase is what we're looking at there.
So if I'm logging on for the first time, DI analyzes where you've been, and then these goals are set at a 10% increase based on that annual growth rate?
Correct. So based off of wherever those numbers are, you can change them and say, change it to whatever you want it to be.
Now, one of the numbers I never use is that next one, hygiene diagnosis percentage. I don't use that at all, just being completely honest. I ask the practice, what is their soft tissue? Do they have a strong soft tissue management program in place? Most do. Then we talk about, okay, if as long as you're confident, Dr. Marshall, that your team are doing probing, pocket depths, bleeding sites, and if it's perio, they're diagnosing it. What I care about is not how much we find, but if we find it, do we convert it, right? So what exactly is the hygiene diagnostic percentage? What, can you hit the I there so we see what that is?
It's just telling you that it's from the performance board on the hygiene treatment. So if I want to see exactly what that is, so what this is right here, this hygiene case number.
Yep.
And so it's fairly big, but what we're looking at is diagnostic percentage, right?
So if they use those codes.
Well, so here's what's going to happen. Yep, diagnostic is the total number of patients diagnosed with hygiene care case procedures during a hygiene visit. So the denominator is if they're in for hygiene, are we diagnosing them with a hygiene procedure? And these are our hygiene procedures right here. If
So
you'll
they
notice,
like fluorides and sealants.
fluorides, sealants, perio, and whitening. These 9975, 9973.
Oh, that's whitening as well.
Yep. So those four: sealants, fluoride, perio, and whitening, because those are things that if they're in for hygiene, that's what you'll be diagnosing. Are those one of those four things possible?
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, once again, maybe like look at this office. Shows me that they're basically possibly giving fluoride to every patient, because the average dollars that they're presenting is $10. But that's the why. That's the how and why. But
Sure.
goal for itself, they're pretty close to that goal that they're at right there.
Okay.
Okay. So with
this is not, then this is just me. This isn't an area we focus on much. We want to keep butts in the chair. We want the hygienist helping you with make sure the patients get good home care, good cleanings, no perio, but also that they're helping with the co-diagnosis or pre-diagnosis, however you want to word that. All right, where are we at on the next one? New patient case acceptance. Think about it this way. This number is sometimes lower than overall case acceptance. Curtis, why do you think that would be? New patient case acceptance versus an existing patient case acceptance. Why do you think I set that a little bit lower?
Well,
because I'm taking you on a first date.
Let me say this. First off, what do you think it should be, right? It should be the same as all your active patients, should be higher or lower. And so what I would say is, to your question is, why is it lower? I would say typically because the patients don't know you, possibly could be the one reason, right?
Yeah, I call it the first date syndrome, right? So when I took Ann out on the first date, even though I fell in love with her the minute I saw her, I knew that wasn't the time to ask her to get married. So if the first time she walks in, I tell her she needs a bunch of work and she's never met me, my case acceptance rate is going to be lower. But once I've done a little bit of work, taken her out on a date or two, and then I present where she really wants to go, that number will increase. Now, it doesn't mean if she walks in looking to marry me and she sees how handsome I am, she says, Kelly, let's get married, I'm going to say yes. Those are no-brainers, because you do have patients that walk in the door and say, I want everything fixed. I heard Dr. Marshall, you're the best cosmetic around. Let's do it. Then that number is going to be through the roof, right? But again, we're just showing what these numbers mean and how or why you may be different than others. We have the baseline, in this case at 65%, but we do, again, I like to shoot a goal of 50% of the dollars and 80% of the patients at least scheduling phase one. If your numbers are much, much lower than that, then what you're probably doing is overwhelming that person on the first visit. So if Curtis comes in because he just moved to Charlotte, he's been going to a dentist for years, he's never really been told he needs work, and now all of a sudden I tell him he needs 3 crowns, a root canal, and a filling, he's going to be like, no way. But if I ask Curtis, have you ever been told you needed work that you didn't follow through on? And he says, yeah, I've had these 3 crowns and this root canal I've never done because. Then I'm going to ask Curtis, hey, let's do one of them, even though all 3 need it. Let's do one, see how you like me and my team, see how we treat you. And if you like how we treated you, Curtis, we'll take care of the other 3. And then I'll see that case acceptance go up.
Kelly, I hope everybody caught this. So what you're basically saying is we got to set a goal to find out where we are and where we want to be and then change. Because what you're basically telling us right now is, hey, if you want to hit this goal, here's how to change it. Here's how to fix it, right?
Yep.
If you don't even have a goal, you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Kelly, in fact, do you know what the definition of insanity is?
I do. Same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah, we're doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So that's what happens if we're not setting goals and changing. We're expecting the same result, but not doing anything different.
Here's a crazy one. I have an office, and I love this office. And the doctor has taken a lot of high-end clinical skills by some of the best high-end clinical practitioners out there. And in this particular practice, their philosophy is the doctor sees all the new patients first. They do a full mock-up, photos, everything else. And their case acceptance is extremely low on new patients. And I've shown the doctor on Dental Intel 5 offices in the area that do it the way we've taught and why and how, and their case acceptance is 2 or 3 times higher, but they insist on doing it the same way and can't figure out why new patients are scheduling. Bottom line is, Anna walked into the restaurant, ordered burnt toast and cold coffee, and you give her hot toast, cooked perfect, and scorching hot coffee, and that's not what she wanted. And so it's crazy to keep trying to give everybody the same thing on the same menu, the same way, when every patient is different, and it's about learning how to communicate. Our point that Curtis and I are trying to make to you today is know what your benchmark is, understand what you're wanting to do, and then let's work together on how we can improve that, right?
Amen.
So let's go back to your next number.
Okay. So all of these are pretty related. You can either, just depending on case acceptance, it's new patient, restorative, or hygiene. We talked about talked a little about diagnostic, but all those are the same. Weekly recall is really interesting. This is saying on a weekly basis, how many patients that didn't have an appointment do you want to come back get rescheduled? So in Kelly's example, Kelly is saying, hey, we're not going to reschedule everyone. We're going to call and get them back in.
Well, let me clarify. We want to ask everyone, but we don't want to push them to make an appointment and give them permission to cancel.
So Kelly's number will be higher, and some of his offices will be higher here because of that than other offices, right?
Right.
Because what this is saying is, hey, if they don't have an appointment, how many patients do you want to get now with an appointment? And it's in this office right now, it's 15.
So Curtis, one thing I do different with that weekly recall is I will go to their pie chart and see how many people they have overdue. So in this particular practice you're looking at, let's see what their number is. They have 1,666 patients overdue. Well, I want to invite every one of those 1,600 into my office at least once in the next 6 months. So I'll take that 1,666 and I'll divide it by 6. That means we have to make 277 calls per month to try them just one time. And if we're working 16 days, then I have to do 17 calls per day to invite everybody in just one time. So then if my philosophy is I need to invite them at least twice during a 6-month time frame, I have to double that number. But that's how we set the goal for your office. We say, how many people are unscheduled? How many times do you want your team to contact them within the next 6 months using local med or using phone calls and scripting the way we talk about? And then we back that number into that goal. All right, what do we got next?
Brilliant. And this, once again, everyone, if you're not utilizing Kelly to help understand where you're at for your goals and the reason why, change now. Set a goal to call Kelly today. All right, so the next one we're going to be looking at is monthly restorative and hygiene production. Now, these two are very important, Kelly. These are not how much production I want the doctor to be doing. This is not how much I want the hygienist to be doing. Read this for me.
Monthly hygiene production.
Hygiene production. It's not hygienist. So of hygiene procedures, sealants, fluoride, cleanings, SRPs, whitening, of prophies, right? Everything that's hygiene dollars. What's your goal here? So this is for once again, this is for the office, not for the individuals. This is all, hey, where do we want the office to be at?
Okay. Average production per visit, we take a look at what your trend has been. And then like in this particular case, we're trying to go up 10%. But if we know we're raising our fees 15%, we have to adjust that. But that's not accounting for also what are we going to do in terms of team performance to get better. So we have fees plus performance, plus communication, plus follow-ups, then that number can go through the roof. Now, one of the things that I like to do when you take a look at, say, let's take an example in this office. They currently have a goal of $275, but we just want to go up $20 per visit. Not an unrealistic thing to do, but let's go to their dashboard, Curtis, and see how many visits they had in a month. So if we go to their dashboard in the top left, we go to total visits, $20 a visit times 569 visits. That's an $11,000 increase that month alone. So we want to pay attention to what $20 per visit can be. And it's sometimes it's easier for your team to think, how do we go up 10 grand? It's easier than to think, how can we go up $20 per visit? All right, so let's jump back. Thank you for helping me jump around here, Curtis. I love that you're my navigator today. Or I'm your mouthpiece, I don't care which.
I love them both.
All right, collection percentage, we like to be, 98% of what you can truly collect, adjusted, net, etc. So if I bill Curtis $100 and his insurance pays 90, I want to be 98% of the 90 he will reimburse. But 98% is kind of the collection goal we like to shoot for.
So on this, what we're looking at too is gross out of gross, right? So if I produced $1,000, how much should I be accepting? The reason why this automatically for this office went low is because they do a lot of write-offs. So they write off, let's say 30%. Well, if they produced $1,000 and they're writing off 30%, that means they can collect the amount that they can collect is 70%.
Okay.
This is off gross. Now you can also set a net production number, meaning of the $7,000 of the 70%, how much do you want to collect? And that should be 90 plus 99, 100% of the net.
Okay. AR days, old school used to be a month and a half, but with technology and everything changing, with the ability to have better follow-ups using dental intel, I find equal to 1 month. So if we're working 20 days, it's 20. If we work 16, it's 16. But that's where we like to be in terms of that number. Yeah. Now, in terms of annual patient value, I'm not necessarily setting a goal for that. Annual patient value is the end result of all the other things we do. So if we have our fees in line, our scheduling to goal, we reduce cancellations and no-shows, we do all the things necessary, our annual patient value will grow. Now on this, a lot of people aren't aware, this one cool little thing I like. Here's our annual patient value, and we can see in this case it's gone down a little bit. But what I like in this one is if I want to know who are my best patients based on, even if I'm only basing it on what they've spent in the last 12, 18, or in this case, 24 months, it shows us who our patients are and what they've spent by family. So it's really a cool way of seeing, let's say I'm doing Christmas cards or I'm having a patient appreciation party or whatever I'm trying to do to direct market. I have taught some of my offices when it comes to thank yous and gifts. If the patient family has spent, say, $5,000 or more in your practice, we might send them a Christmas card along with a $100 Target card and thank them for being loyal. If they've been in and they've spent less than $1,000, they might just get a Christmas card. So we'd like to really target market the patients that are doing what they want to do. Now, on the other
yeah, we can even look at certain months here, Kelly, like how long. So
yeah, it depends on what I'm trying to do. Like if I'm doing a patient appreciation party, like a parking lot party, and trying to grow new patients, I'll probably go 18 or 24. But on a year-to-year Christmas situation, I'm going to go here. Now, here's a secret I bet none of your other coaches have given. When we look at these patients in the last 12 months, I also click on them and see what is their unscheduled treatment. The ones with a lot of unscheduled treatment, we might send them a $100 in-office credit if they use it in the next 12 months. So let's say Curtis and his family have $7,000 in unscheduled treatment. I might send them a $100 per family member, or go ahead and click on Angela, see if she has any treatment. I don't think these will, but
these are negative value.
Right, see how there's 4,300 in unscheduled treatment? Yeah. I might send her a 5% of 4,000, so $200. I might send them a $200 in-office credit if they complete their treatment this year as our way of saying thank you and Merry Christmas.
That's brilliant, because what you're doing there, now you wouldn't want to give it to that patient because they actually have a credit on their.
Well, if they have unscheduled treatment, and even if they come in and use the credit, right? Because technically I owe it to them. So, hey, not only, Curtis, do you have a credit, but we're going to give you an extra $200 if you do your work in the next 12 months.
There you go.
So we get retention.
Really, really brilliant. And note this, the reason why this is taking so long,
that with everyone, Curtis.
It's a lot of data that we're pulling here, and that you're able to now get really quick.
Yeah.
So Thomas here, right? Thomas has 6,300. They're the highest family value over the last 12 months for this office.
So they value dentistry.
Yep, they got 4 family members, but for some reason, actually 2 of them are not inactive anymore for some weird reason.
It's a fake.
They would know. And then, like you said, sending Thomas saying, hey, sure, appreciate you. Here's $100 of in-store credit if you come and use it this year. Holy cow.
On that note, when you think about marketing, Curtis, if I said I'm going to bring you a patient for 5% of what they spend, is that worth it to you?
100% it is.
So if I give them a $300 credit in this case, that's 5%, and I don't have to. How hard do you have to spend marketing dollars to try to get 6,000 in, right?
And then, like you said, then they need to win them over and you're not going to ask them to marry you on the first date.
Yeah,
right? These guys are already family to you.
Yeah, so retention is easier than growth in a lot of cases. Yep. All right, let's go to the next goal so we get everything done today. And Dr. B, thank you for being online. Dr. Stephanie B, thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to talking with you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good info. I have to be logging off soon here because I have to head out of the office. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you, and I look forward to doing more with you.
Absolutely.
All right, our next number that we're looking at in terms of goals.
Yep, it would be a restorative exam and hygiene per visit.
These are numbers that are an end result of function, the things we're doing in our systems. And as we talked about, new patient reappointment percentage, I like to see 80% of them coming back for something, be it a cleaning or restorative. Because if you've ever dated, there's no way you are 100% because you'd have married the first person you dated, right? Not everybody has an Anna in their life, right? I know, Curtis, you've got a beautiful, awesome wife. But, I went out with a few girls that weren't up to Anna's standard. So I'm married. She's my last kiss, right? So first time I kissed her, she was my last kiss. All right. So, Curtis, let's go to then. This is our basic dashboard. Can we now go to provider pulse, please.
Absolutely.
So
now
here is where,
once again, these are all fairly stagnant. These are all staying the same. These are where you want to, where you evaluate and you adjust, right? As 6 months or every year. This provider pulse, though, now that we're going to look at, we're actually going to change back.
this is the pulse of your practice. And so while Curtis is pulling this up, one of the things that I like to,
Kelly, of your providers.
yes, the pulse of your providers in your overall practice. So what I like to do when setting the goals is I change the date to either last quarter or year to date. So in this case, let's just do this year or whatever.
Let's do last quarter just because
All
it'll be
right.
less data.
So when we look at our production,
It'll pull up in just a second. Once again, it's pulling up all the providers and everything for last quarter. And it's also getting us case acceptance that we'll have. Everything will be here in just a second, but it is a lot of information. So it's just, it'll be too, and I'm on a slow internet.
especially when it's a big practice.
Mm-hmm. But I like what you're getting at. Now, while this is pulling up, Kelly, if I'm a doctor, okay, and I say, team, on an 8-hour day, a full day, I want to produce $10,000. Okay. And team, when I leave early on Friday, because I always leave early to go play pickleball or whatever, when I only work 4 hours on Friday, I also want $10,000. How is it possible for the doctor to be is he all of a sudden quicker, he meaning me, all of a sudden quicker doing crowns because I'm only working 4 hours? I'm doing a crown on an 8-hour day, it takes me 30 minutes. But on a 4-hour day, it only takes me 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not accurate.
No, it's not. Some doctors do have that expectation. I think it's false.
Here's why though. Here's why they've done it. Here's what they've done in the past in dentistry, and this is what we're going to change.
Yep.
I want to produce $1.2 million this year, which means every month I need to produce $100,000, which means every day I need to produce $10,000. Team, I need to produce $10,000 every day as an average. We're going to make it so much easier now, Kelly. This data that we have now, we can make it so much simpler so that we can really say, hey, look, in this practice that whatever practice we're looking at, what we can say is, hey, this is exactly what you should be making every day, every month, every quarter, instead of saying 1.2, 100, 10. No, we're going to say exactly what you should be making. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I have different philosophy, and that's okay, because I believe if you're capable of producing $12.50 an hour, then it's $12.50 times 4 hours, or it's $12.50 times 8, right? And so there are ways that we can be more productive in a half day than a full by cutting hygiene exams or scheduling different. But if you could do 10,000 in half day, why can't you do 20 in a full?
Well, and then too, what you're saying is on the full day, you're not performing at the highest level.
Correct.
If you can produce $10,000 in 4 hours, why aren't you producing 20 in 8?
Right.
That's what we're getting at.
So here's where I'm at with this one. For example, now if I click goal for Dr. Cam and I hit his goal right here, go ahead and hit the pencil because we're going to look at it.
Hit the pencil.
So what you'll notice here is it changes not for overall goal, it changes at production per hour. So close this, and correct me if I'm doing this wrong, close that screen, and I then go to production per hour on the third line down from production. And based on what we've been doing, I then adjust that goal. So we can see we've been doing 684, so we're still trying to get to 800. In this case, I would leave it alone. But let's just say, for example, click the pencil. If I change that to 750, that's going to change the goal effective what, today?
Because what I did was it's from this date to current. Yep.
Correct.
So
So I'm adjusting the goal. But if I want to change it from today forward.
Oh, from today forward. So let's
Yes,
say,
sir.
is it 750 before, and I'm now wanting to be at 775.
Okay. Then I just put today's date in.
Today, come on. Today, October, what is today? October 2nd? Oh my goodness.
And then save it.
Buddy, it's going too fast.
And so that will then adjust my goal. So what I like to do here is I like to look at what you're currently doing. I usually will not lower that number. We'll try to improve it by 10%, 15%, 20%, and give you the tools to make it better. But this is how you set it. Now, if we go filter by in production per hour, if we go filter by hygienist, so when I'm setting the goal, I kind of do equally. I like them all to be the same, even though they're all over the board, where Chelsea's at 407 and Stephanie's at 17. One of the things I want to make sure all my hours are correct up to this point. And then when I know my team is averaging 225 an hour, we'll set the goal, say at 230, but then I will coach and hold accountable the other hygienists on things they can do to improve. Now, in some cases, one hygienist may be doing more perio, another hygienist may be doing more new patients, and another hygienist may be doing more kids. But collectively as a team, we set a goal based on what the whole team does. The other thing I like to do in this regards to setting goals is we take your fee for prophy exam or prophy in 4 films. What is that average? We multiply it by 7.5, and that's kind of where we want to see your number, because you're going to have cancellations here or there.
So true.
All right, production per visit. Again, when we change that goal.
On this one, Kelly,
Yeah.
production per visit, I really, for most offices, this is really taking it to the next level.
I agree.
For dental practice.
But where I'm at with it, Curtis, is in terms of training today, you want to look at what is your history for a given time frame and then try to get better from there. So if hygienists, and this is why we're having this discussion, if my hygienists collectively are doing, 230 per visit, then I want to see how do we get to 245, let's say. And this is how you change the goal. You click the date, you hit the goal, and you hit save, and that will then be your goal. So we can sort this by doctor, we can sort it by individual provider, we can sort it by department. So where our hygienists right now are at 245 and the goal is 240, if we don't adjust up, we're giving our teams permission to settle. So right now they're doing 245 per hygienist. Jumping around on me there. See at the top, they're doing 245. That's their average as a team, but their goal is 240. So we're saying, hey guys, you're there. You don't have to do better. So we've got to pay attention to this and look at, all right, how do we go to 250? We don't beat them up if they don't hit it, but we want to see what we can do. We want to spread our wings and see if we can fly a little further. All right, collections.
And one thing to note here, just like you mentioned on production per hour, you want to make sure you have the hours entered in correctly. Production per visit, you don't need to, because this is filtering automatically by however many visits they had divided by their production that they had.
Right.
So this one's very accurate to be looking at for that. So what was the next one you wanted to go to? Collections,
which that is based on when you click this number, you're going to see that there's not,
it's all data in, data out. It doesn't.
Right. There's no goal to set because we've set that on the overall dashboard.
Correct.
All right, hygiene. Periodiagnostic. I've already explained that I don't set a goal. Now it's going to show me where we're at, and I'll go ahead and leave it there, but I don't get worried about whether it being up or down. So in this particular case, they're at 2%. Let's set maybe the goal at 5. But again, that goal means nothing to me, because if I got 8 healthy patients per day, every day that don't need perio, that's a good thing. But if we find it, do we convert it? So in this case, we'll set it at 5%. What I care more about is the next line down, which is perio acceptance percentage. That I want to see at 80%.
Why? Why is that?
I believe that 8 out of our, if we're communicating effectively, educating properly, and staying true to our belief, and we're not being what I call a rescue ranger, we're calling it a prophy, but really doing scaling and root planing, right? Which isn't fair to your team. But I believe that if we communicate effectively, have strong belief, education, and the tools needed, we should convert 8 out of 10 of what we find. And in this case, they're 86%.
So, Kelly, your goal of 980, right?
Right.
Your goal of 80 on average is a quick benchmark. But in this scenario, you would not want to give them a goal of 80%.
No. Can you do
right? But I hope everyone's seeing how important this is to know, hey, where's that benchmark? And by working with Kelly is a good way of seeing that. But then who cares about that first? We want to know where you're at and then get better.
Absolutely.
Perio visit percentage. This one right here, I'd put it up with your diagnostic. It's actually more like collections. There's no reason to do a goal, because that would be saying, I only want to see perio patients. I don't want to see any prophy patients. This is just letting us know what's actually happening in my day. Is Stephanie seeing more perio patients, or is Summer, or is the temp hygienist? Obviously, Stephanie is, and we can see that out of her 23 visits, 3 of them were perio.
Okay.
So
visits per hour. Here's how I back into that number.
And this is not a goal either, though, either.
No, but I do pay attention to this. So basically, if we have an 8-hour day, I have found that we're basically going to get 7 out of 8 hours will stay full. So if I just take 7 divided by 8, it's 0.875 visits per hour. Usually when I see more than 1 visit per hour, we either have 40-minute prophies for adults, which I'm not a fan of. Maybe we're a heavy pedo practice. But as a general rule, I'm right around about 0.875 to 0.9 on based on an 8-hour day. So I know for 28 years, Anna and I have been keeping track of these numbers. Even before our great relationship with Dental Intel, we found that you're going to have 1 cancellation or no-show on an average per day per hygienist. And, I'd love to see the overall Dental Intel stats on that, but I find, if you're above 0.875 per hour and your hours are correct, you're doing really well.
That's the last part was most important. Are your hours correct?
Right.
That's the only thing that you will want to input to give good data on your goals is your hours. And there's a whole thing that we can talk about later on that one.
All right, so hygiene reappointment percentage, this is not as important as the hygiene visits per hour. So again, like we talked about earlier, I don't care how much we reappoint. What I care about is what shows up. But in this case, if we're reappointing 80% or 89%, let's go ahead and set it at 90, and it is what it is. But what matters more is not what we reappoint or pre-appoint, but what actually shows up. New patient hygiene reappointment percentage, again, I like to see 8 out of 10 coming back for something.
This is only hygiene, though, so notice what we have here.
Of new patients in hygiene, right?
Nope. New patients, period. Do they reappoint for hygiene?
Oh, so if I come in for a toothache, do I come into hygiene?
That's what this is trying to tell us what's going on. Yep.
This is why we're doing this. I misunderstood that number.
Yeah.
So what's a good number there, Curtis?
You know what? If I'm spending money, time, energy, love, smiles, all this PPE, all this stuff on new patients, I want them in my hygiene program. Even if they don't have any teeth, even if they've been going to another dentist for years, I don't care. You're now here. I want you to join with my team in my hygiene program. So with that being said, Kelly, where do you think I want that number to
Well,
be?
let me ask you this though. Would you rather me be a tooth of the year club, come in once a year for a root canal, or come in twice a year for a prophy? What would you rather have? So
Me
there's
as
a
a
lot of,
doctor?
yeah,
Well, if I want the patient to be healthier, I
that's
want him
not
to
the
come in.
question though,
Huh?
right? That's not really the question, because there's a lot of patients who will come in for just a toothache and then see you next year when something else bothers me. There's nothing wrong with that. What I don't want is you to come in for a toothache, push you into a cleaning, and then have you no show and never see you again. So again, we want to know where you're at, right? Our job today is not to judge, right? It's to show you what these numbers mean and how you can look at it different way. And you've got to interpret your goals for your practice your way and try to make your office better.
We could really drop that. I mean, that, if nobody else caught that, for you. You are not the same as me. You're not the same as Kelly. Like Kelly mentioned, for myself, if I was running a practice, I'd want to find a way to educate my patients or teach my patients, whatever it might be, that hygiene's important. Let's get you in. Kelly's, just based off of your conversation there, you basically don't want to push people away by pushing them into hygiene. So you want to learn about the patient and give them what they want.
Right.
Right.
And
So,
some just want to come in when they have a toothache.
and that is fine, but two different practices there. What do you want? Where are you at? And where do you want to go?
Yep.
So key.
All right, fluoride treatment percentage. You know, again, from my standpoint, I ask the practices, what is your philosophy on fluoride? Here's where you are. Are we dropping the ball? You know, if you believe in it for one, then you should believe in it for all. What I find the most common mistake on fluoride treatment percentages, Curtis, is the offices present it to the patients that it's a covered benefit, and they do not offer it to patients who do not. That to me is the biggest mistake you can make. So if you believe in fluoride, adult or child, you should be presenting it on all, regardless of what benefits they have.
I like that. I really do.
All right, where the rubber meets the road for us is
Yeah.
in the case acceptance area.
Okay.
To me, the patient diagnostic percentage, you can set a goal, but I don't. I've already shared with you that, and I've shared with you why.
I don't know why. Hold on, Kelly. Something's going on. I'm going to go last month, just so we have a little less data to be pulling as we're on this webinar.
Are you on a phony office? Were you able to delete it?
No, I want to be on this one. This is fine. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So on the patient diagnostic percentage, we can see it's 64%. I don't set a goal here, even though I can, because again, I might leave a goal at 64% because that's where we are as a team. But if I break it out by hygienist or doctor, I'll make that switch. But again, I don't care as much about what do we find. I want to make sure your team's educated to find everything, present everything. But what I care more about is the patient acceptance percentage, which we set a goal there of 80%. 8 out of 10 patients should schedule at least phase 1.
I like it. So we're going to put in 80%, especially for this office too. They are at
76.
76%. So this is a great goal for them.
Yep. Then I go to the next number, dollars treated to accepted percentage. We're looking for 50%. So what this means in the big picture, let's say Curtis is my patient. I recommend 4 crowns. Curtis schedules 1 crown. He will be 100% of the patient acceptance and 25% of the dollars. That's a great number. The next time he comes in, he schedules 1 crown. He will be 33% of the treatment, but 100% of the patient, because we're moving forward. The next time Curtis comes in, he does 1 crown. We're 100% of the patient, 50% of the dollars, and then the last visit, we're 100 and 100. But across the board, we find most of our practices, and I've got office after office I could show you, that are 50% of the dollars or better and 80% of their patients or better for the entire year. It's not a fluke. It's a consistency based on the systems that Anna and I have developed and improved over the years. And one of the things I love, Dental Intel gives us an entire dashboard where we can see all our offices together, and we're able to pay attention to this number. Now, the next goal, same day treatment dollar percentage. This is a tough one, and this has got to be very personalized. For example, in Dr. Curtis's practice, remember, he's already scheduled to a $10,000 day. He's pushing the envelope every single day. He's not going to be able to convert and do the same day without running behind.
Well, hold on one sec. This is not same day.
Let me finish my thought. Let me finish my thought. But other offices plan, and they have an additional assistant on board, and they'll say, Mr. Schwartz, if you don't mind waiting a few minutes, we can go ahead and get you started and taken care of today. So again, we want to look at where you're at. What is your philosophy? Do you have the chairs? Do you have the capacity? So where one office might be 20% same day, another office might be 5%. I would rather be at the highest production per day per hour I can be, regardless of this number, but being able to convert same day dentistry is really key. Now, where this is really big are some of our practices that take a lot of insurance, or even like Medicaid, for example. They've got to do same day dentistry to stay in line. Pedo is another one that really wants to do some same day stuff when they get the kids in there. But this is a goal and is a number, but I want you to understand what it means. So Curtis, go ahead and share your thoughts on that one.
So same day production percentage is getting it done today, meaning I completed the production today, same day production percentage. But case acceptance, same day treatment acceptance, if you present to me a treatment today and I schedule it for next week, but I schedule it today, the day you presented it to me, I scheduled it for next week, then that's counted as same day.
Oh, so if you tell me I need it today and I walk out and schedule it next week, but I schedule it today, that's still in same day?
Because I accepted it. It's acceptance, not completed. I love what you're doing there too, because same day production percentage is dollars that I presented and completed today.
Okay, so I got those two crossed as the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but here's one thing that's crazy. And here's where Kelly shines because he's paying attention to this. Look at this. This is showing us the same day treatment percentage. Sorry, there we go. Goes away. We presented in the month of January 2020. We presented $250,000 and got 20% accepted. These will never change because it was same. I presented it and accepted same day. It won't change, right?
Right.
That's this stays stagnant. It won't. That for January it won't change. But what will change is of the dollars that did not get accepted, if they call in tomorrow or they call in February, March, April, May, June, July. They call in this month in October and they schedule any of the dollars that were not accepted. As of today, Kelly, how many is accepted? And that is this number right here, the treatment dollars acceptance percentage.
Okay.
So this should increase. What should that increase to as of today? It's been 8 months later or 10 months later.
Okay.
What would your guess be? What should that increase by?
That's a tough one. I don't know.
You would think, especially if they come in for a second visit and third visit, like you're mentioning, right?
Oh, yeah, then it's going to start to go down.
No, it's start to go up. That percentage should start to go up.
Okay, yes.
Right?
The percentage would go up, the dollars will come down.
Correct.
Okay.
Watch this. This is crazy. 10 months later, we increased acceptance by what percentage?
Curtis, I'm sorry, I was distracted with an outside, so take it.
No, we started at 20%. Same day acceptance was 20%. As of today, it's now what?
31.
31. We've increased by 11.
11%, yeah.
Most offices, Kelly, if they don't get it accepted same day, they only increase by 10% and then it levels off. If
Right.
they don't have a good coach and if they're not watching this, most offices do that. They get whatever they start at. Let's say they start at 50%. Over time, only 10% more gets accepted of that original dollars, of these original dollars, only 10% more. It is the craziest number.
So
But
Curtis, if you could stop sharing your screen for a second, I want to show a couple numbers here real quick.
yeah,
And I'll share my screen. Boom.
this is really powerful stuff, by the way.
Yeah. So are you seeing that?
Yep, where it says 84%.
No. Okay, so you're on that screen. So here's an office that presented over the entire year 1,700 treatment plans, 1,500 accepted for 84%. Here's an office that we work with, presented treatment acceptance overall on 955,000, 65% of the dollars scheduled. Here's another one where 93% case acceptance out of 3,800 patients, 64% of the dollars. And then this last one I have here, sorry, gotta bring them back over to the screen. I'm doing split screens. 40% same day treatment acceptance on 1,000,001. You know, these are some big numbers that we know we can improve by helping you set your goals. But more importantly, you can't set goals without a system. For example, if you want to lose weight, you can't set a goal to lose 100 pounds if you're not going to stop eating junk, exercise more, developing a plan, having a system, and having a routine. And one of the things I love in that regards, we love helping our teams get to that next level by setting these goals. That's why Curtis and I are doing it. What I love with Dental Intel and Curtis as my partner, we meet every month to discuss what's working, what's not working, what can we improve. Curtis and the DI team have been great at listening to the requests you guys are giving me to give to DI to try to help make this system better. And one of the things we found, many offices were struggling coming into October with their hygiene schedule. Thanks to DI and our partners with DI at Local Med, we've added Local Med to many of our offices. They've had 20, 30, 40 patients within the first 3 days of sending out Local Med links, getting people to schedule. So if our goal is to fill the schedule, Dental Intel, Curtis and the team, Anna and I at Schwartz Consulting Group can help put in those systems to help you go to that next level. So Curtis, in wrapping up, you know, I really appreciate, and I'm going to give you a chance to share anything else we need to know, but we just want you to know that we're here to help you. Our purpose today is to show you how to set goals. If you have questions on what they should be and why they should be there, please reach out and give us a call. We can schedule an online Zoom meeting, a one-on-one with you. We're back on the road. We're in offices again. You know, I've always got Curtis and his team there to help us. So reach out to us. Curtis, any other goals that we should have or anything that you're thinking in wrapping?
I love the fact, Kelly, that you're talking about. If you want to know how to improve it, you need to report it back as well.
Yeah.
Right? Having somebody like yourself to say, hey, Kelly, my goal is 80% and I'm at 70. Help me out.
Yep.
Kelly, my goal is at 80% and I'm at 90. Come celebrate with me. Let's go do a steak dinner, right? That, if nothing else, that is the biggest thing. Know where you're at and then report it to someone else. That's going to be a game changer for you, your practice, your family, and your lifestyle.
So I've got to share this. I got this text Wednesday night at 9:15.
Okay.
Kelly, hope all is well with you. We now, for the third month working with you, we did 102,000 in production, 105 in collection. Last month, we did 104 in production, 109 in collection. And in their first month working with me, they broke 100, both collection and production. They went up 30,000 per month or more 3 months in a row. And guess when they started, Curtis?
During COVID is my guess that you say that.
During COVID, and we put the systems in place and kicked butt. And that's what we want to help you do. And Anna and I want to say thank you to you and Weston and the whole DI family, because without these tools, and that's what dental intel is, a tool to help us put our systems in place that we can measure and hold your team accountable to doing. And it's really, really important. Okay.
Amen. Preach.
So thank you everybody for spending your Friday afternoon with us. And we look forward to talking to you soon.
Have a wonderful weekend.